welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into the story behind the 2002 Oakland Athletics and that whole Moneyball idea. It's more than just baseball, really. It's about, shaking things up, measuring value differently, and how pure numbers challenged, well, decades of tradition.
Exactly. Our mission here is to sort of unpack how this team, with basically the smallest payroll in Major League Baseball, managed to turn the sport on its head using stats.
And what's amazing, and maybe why it connects with so many people, is you really don't need to know anything about baseball itself to get the strategy.
That's the core of it, yeah. We're looking at, the art of winning when the game's rigged against you, financially speaking. How do you compete against teams with way, way more money? We'll focus on the specific statistical idea that let them do it.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. It's 2002. Billy Beane, the A's general manager, Brad Pitt, in the movie, he's facing a total nightmare scenario. They just had a pretty good season, surprisingly good, actually, but then, boom, 3-star players get snapped up by richer teams. Gone.
And this wasn't just bad luck. It was systemic for teams like Oakland. They just couldn't afford to keep their stars or buy big-name replacements. Every time they found someone great, they were basically developing them for the Yankees or the Red Sox. It was this constant, draining cycle of rebuilding, no continuity.
Right. And the traditional scouts, their advice was basically, go sign some other expensive stars.
Right.
Which Beane obviously couldn't do. It just highlighted how broken the standard approach was for them. Yeah. He had to find value somewhere, anywhere else.
Exactly. If the usual methods only point you to players you can't possibly afford, then, well, those methods are kind of useless for you, aren't they? The problem wasn't just losing players, it was the whole system, the accepted wisdom of how you evaluate talent. Beane realized he had to, basically ignore it.
Which is where Peter Brand comes in Jonah Hill's character in the film. He's this young economics grad. Beane kind of stumbles across him in a meeting. And Brand has this totally different idea based on sabermetrics. He says, forget how a guy looks, forget the scout's gut feeling, it's all in the numbers.
Yeah, and this is the absolute key, the statistical insight everything else pivots on. It came from the work of Bill James, a baseball analyst. James basically showed that a lot of the traditional stats scouts loved, batting average, stolen bases, stuff like that, didn't actually correlate that well with winning games.
Okay, so what did correlate?
Scoring runs, obviously. But the most undervalued and therefore cheapest way to contribute to scoring runs was getting on base percentage, OBP.
OBP.
Yeah.
So just getting on first base, whether it's a hit or a walk,
yeah,
that became the magic number.
Pretty much. That was their obsession. And it was revolutionary because the traditional system valued flashiness, home runs, speed, guys who looked athletic. OBP often rewards players who are maybe less flashy, more patient, guys who draw a lot of walks. Maybe they don't hit for a high average. Maybe they don't look like stars, but they just don't make outs as often. The A's figured out they could essentially buy getting on base way cheaper than they could buy home runs or stolen bases.
Ah, okay. So instead of trying to replace one superstar with another expensive superstar, they assembled this, island of misfit toys. A group of undervalued guys who, together, delivered a high OBP.
Yeah.
They weren't buying fame, they were buying statistical production, efficiency.
Exactly. And the fascinating part is how this purely mathematical approach just crashed headlong into baseball's culture. It was a total rejection of the eye test, The stat became king, overruling decades, centuries maybe, of scouting intuition based on watching players.
And yeah, that created some serious drama. The film shows this really well. Beane and Brand weren't just trying to win games. They were fighting the entire baseball establishment. The pushback was huge. From everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. You see it most vividly with the coaching staff, especially the head coach, played brilliantly by Seymour Hoffman. He's completely old school. And he wasn't just arguing. The film shows him actively sabotaging the plan by refusing to play the guys being acquired based on the stats. He'd bench them or play them out of position.
It really drives home how hard change is, right? It's not just about having the data. You have to convince people, real people with careers built in the old way, to actually use it, overcome that emotional resistance. Speaking of emotion, there's that interesting detail in the film where Beane himself doesn't watch the games live, says it's bad luck or something. He hides in the clubhouse or listens on the radio.
Yeah, that's a deliberate choice by the filmmakers, I think. It underlines the whole Moneyball philosophy. Make decisions based on the cold, hard data, not the heat of the moment, not what you're seeing on the field. Stick to the statistical model, even if a player looks clumsy making an out, or looks great making a flashy play that doesn't actually help much statistically.
It does make you wonder, though.
What's that?
Well, does detaching yourself that much lead to better decisions? Or do you risk losing something important like team chemistry or morale, things that are harder to quantify? How did Beane even manage that part?
That's a really good question, and the film doesn't shy away from that tension. It shows the human cost, the players who feel like commodities. It's not presented as a perfect system, just a necessary one for them at that time.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the movie itself. Because making a compelling film about statistics, specifically on-base percentage, sounds challenging. But the screenplay by Aaron Sorkin and Steven Zaillian somehow makes it work, even if you don't know baseball.
They used a really smart trick. They made it so Billy Beane himself needed the sabermetric stuff explained to him by Peter Brand. So those scenes where Brand is breaking down OBP and market inefficiencies for Beane, that's basically the film explaining it to the audience, too. It feels natural, part of the story.
Right, you learn along with the main character. You're not just sitting through a stats lecture. It's woven into the plot, into the negotiation scenes.
Yeah, it's clever.
And another thing that's kind of striking for a sports movie, there's actually not that much baseball action shown. A lot of it is offices, phone calls, clubhouse arguments.
Exactly. It's really more of an economic thriller set in the world of baseball. The tension comes from the deals, the resistance, the constant pressure on Beane.
And pulling that off needs great acting. Brad Pitt as Beane. Critics often say it's one of his best roles.
Definitely. He does so much with very little. It's not flashy acting. It's stillness. The way he carries himself, you feel the weight of the whole franchise on his shoulders, the risk he's taking. It's all internalized pressure.
Yeah, you really feel the anxiety. And then Jonah Hill as Peter Brand, it was quite a different role for him at the time.
Totally. He nails that specific kind of character. The quiet confidence, the almost religious faith in the numbers, but also, you see, he's a bit of a fan underneath it all. He represents that disruptive, data-driven force.
And Hoffman as the coach.
Hoffman is crucial because he makes the resistance understandable, almost sympathetic. He's not just a grumpy old guy. He represents everyone whose experience and intuition is suddenly being told it's worthless next to a spreadsheet. That feeling, having your life's work questioned by some new tech or new system that resonates way beyond baseball.
Absolutely. So wrapping up this deep dive, the Moneyball story, it's really a parable, isn't it? About disruption. It's less about baseball wins and losses and more about that messy, difficult process of changing how an entire institution thinks, especially when the results are staring you in the face.
Couldn't agree more. The Moneyball idea forced a shift from subjective feelings and consensus to objective, measurable outcomes. It was about finding value where nobody else was looking. And maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is to connect that to your own world. Where might you or your organization be relying on the expensive star players, the traditional flashy ways of doing things that everyone accepts? Are there undervalued metrics, like OBP was, that could actually guarantee better results more efficiently if you just dared to measure and prioritize them differently? That move from gut feel to hard data. That's the real legacy here.